Welcome to the Solution Station podcast, co-worker edition. And I'm super excited for this special segment. And I have with me my fellow co-worker, Olorato Modise. Welcome.
Hi, Penyo, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
No, I'm good. I'm doing good.
Good. Oh, that's good. So, would you just love to take us away on what we're going to be talking about today?
So, today we're going to talk about an interesting topic. It's titled The Myth of a Perfect Mentor. So, basically, we are going to talk about how if we think there is such a thing as a perfect mentor, is it really a myth? All that sort. So, I'm really excited to talk about it. I'm really excited to dive into that topic, and exchange information. So yeah.
I'm excited to. Yep.
Mm-hmm. No, continue.
Yeah, no, I was saying I'm excited because this is actually a really great topic because I know that normally we look at our mentors as people that we idolize in a way, but this would be interesting to see that, okay, I think as much as we see the greatness in them, are we open to accommodating maybe parts of them that might be and not as perfect, and how to navigate that? So yeah,
because sometimes we tend to forget that mentors are also people, so they also have flaws. So sometimes when we pick a certain mentor, we'd be like, sure, they possess these kind of qualities, and not really look at the fact that they might have flaws, and they might make mistakes. So yeah, sometimes people abandon the mentor because they are not perfect, or they didn't really suit the ideal picture that they painted.
Ooh, that's so true. I think this is actually bringing a certain question to my mind, that do you think mentors really have all the answers? I think since we're talking about how mentors are not really perfect, right? And we kind of have this thing where we're like, they should probably have all the answers, but do they really have every answer, and do we expect them to have every single answer?
Well, what do you think? I mean, I don't think they do have all the answers. I mean, if you want to ask them answers regarding the journey that they took, sure, maybe they have all the answers. But when you want, let's say when now you have a certain list, and you expect them to really contain all the answers or all the solutions to a certain problem that you might face or you have faced. So to me, I wouldn't say they do have all the answers, but they do have certain answers to questions. Well, what do you think? Do you think they do have all the answers?
You know what? I feel like the first time, the first time when I started my journey of just getting mentors in my life, I used to have this idea that mentors have all the answers all the time. But I think it put a certain unrealistic expectation on them as well. So it kind of, in a way, also lifted that burden off of feeling like I should put the pressure on just a human being to have all the answers. You get? So I can appreciate them to say, no, they have wisdom on a specific area. So let's say if you need mentorship on leadership, right? You can say, okay, no, this person is excellent in this area, but they can guide you. Your mentor can guide you on a particular path, but it's the best way at the end of the day is to also, I guess, be independent in your thinking as well, as much as you want someone to guide you. And that's the best way you can enjoy mentorship for. And that's the best way you can actually appreciate what we're talking about today, to say that you won't get a perfect mentor. So at some point, even as you're seeking for advice, you should also have that independent decision you make at the end of the day on who it is that you choose to be, or how it is, or how you want to approach a certain situation, as much as you get that wisdom you get. So I think there's a balance to it. At the same time, they might not have all the answers, but at the end of the day, you know that you also need to learn to make your own decisions as well. So yeah, I think that's what I think.
Okay, I have a question. Would it be wrong to come to your mentor with expectations?
Ooh, I don't think so, because I think, like any form of relationship, right? I'm pretty sure we all come with certain expectations of what it is we desire to experience, right? Within that, that relationship, either a friendship or whatever it is, you have an expectation of what you desire, because especially maybe just to have a standard. You know how I always hear about you must have standards. So I do believe there should be like a standard of some sort. I think, for instance, for example, the fundamental expectations could be, just, you definitely need someone who wants you to be your best self. You want someone who's also good at like leadership, someone who even just respects, you respecting your mentor also showing that respect to you, in also the way that you communicate, the way that you speak to each other, just having that fundamental respect you get. And even so, I don't think it's a bad thing to have expectations. I think in anything that you do, it's a good thing to have expectations, even expectations of yourself as a person, to say, because where there's expectations, I believe that there's a standard you get, and you get to experience things at a very high quality when you do have like certain expectations. So yeah, I do. What do you think? Do you think you should have expectations?
I think expectations kill the whole thing. I don't want to lie.
Ooh, okay. I want to hear that.
Okay, so imagine you have this picture of a person and then you expect them to like be of a certain kind, right? And then they don't really deliver. That kills the whole image you had of them. And then every respect that you had, I feel like it's gonna be thrown out the window. Or maybe it's just because I think that would come with the fact that people expect the mentor to be perfect, and if they are not of a certain kind, they will lose interest in being mentored by them, even though that person is like of value and can add value into their life. Expectations can kill the whole thing. Maybe it's my point of view, but also I hear you that expectations also set standards so that your relationship with that person can have, what do you call it? I don't know how to say it. Can be valuable, can benefit both of you guys, and also can be like efficient and effective in your life. So yeah, I get your point of view.
I actually
Oh,
I was just about to say, understand what you're talking about, to say that the moment you just see your one flaw, you're like, I thought I knew this person, you know, and then you just lose all respect. So I feel like there needs to be a balance. I think now, just thinking about your perspective and mine, to say, I think as much as you can have standards, I don't believe that, oh no, let me actually put it this way. I also feel like we need to give grace and room to know that even if this person you can experience their flaws, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should discard them yet. Because you shouldn't just, let's say in a moment of weakness, or maybe things or words were said that you might have not really liked or appreciated, or what, so you can't immediately say, this person, you just cut them off. I think it goes back to also just having a conversation as well in moments like that. And I think it's always very easy, especially in like these days, the cut off culture is so high. Like people are always so quick to cut each other off. So it's like people would rather just cut each other off than actually talk and have a conversation. And when you could have actually saved something that would have been so good, if you would have talked, because if you would have just talked to your mentor, if you would have had your conversation to say, you said this, I didn't appreciate that, and it would have mended so many things. So I think to that, it's also just an encouragement on, just being able to be patient as well, because it's usually a hard thing, but it's I feel like in being patient and in being someone who communicates as well, you can save really great, mentee-mentor relationships. And you can get to a place where you're like, okay, as much as this is someone who I really held to a high standard and they kind of disappointed me, I'm going to express this. And even your mentor also, the other side to it, to say, do you believe that they're open enough to admit, or I was wrong, especially as your leader, Do you think mentors are also open to that?
I would say, yeah, they are. They're open to that, to say, no, I'm wrong. Because as a leader, you should always put, if you do have qualities of a leader, or you have leadership skills, you do know that you put other people's feelings first before yourselves. Not that yours don't matter, but it's a matter of how you serve. Because leadership, it's serving. It's basically serving other people more than you serve yourself. So I would say, yeah, a mentor is always open to, admitting or acknowledging when they're wrong in a certain point. Do you think they are? You are the one who has experience. Do you think they're open to saying they're wrong?
Ooh, honestly, yes. I've actually experienced a scenario like that. So, and it was so refreshing. I remember in a situation where I think I was navigating something with my mentor, and we ended up having to have a hard conversation, and I really appreciated how my mentor admitted as well that the way I handled 1, 2, 3 wasn't the best thing, and just acknowledging that. I think there are times where even as a person, you don't see the things that you do, you don't see the actions, your personal actions. And I think it goes back to what you're talking about, to say that as much as this is a person that you can really, respect and honor, but in those moments of weakness, it's like, they didn't see
deliver
that. They didn't deliver to the expectations. So So that's why I think even when I was like having a hard conversation, it really helps because I looked back and I'm like, imagine had I just been like, you know what, there's nothing we can do here,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
rather we talked about it and managed to continue to have, for me to benefit also. And I think for both me and my mentor to be able to continue to benefit from our relationship. So so having that hard conversation was really important, and having to also see that it was great to see my mentor being able to communicate also when they were wrong. So so that was a really
okay,
good conversation. Yeah.
okay. So I have a question. At what point do
Yeah.
you say this is a red flag for a mentor? Like, this characteristic is a sign of a red flag. That mentor is a red flag. And do you
Red
think
for
there are red
danger.
flags? Do you think there are red flags in mentors? Like, I know when it comes to mentorship, even if it's not really from the mentor's side, like both sides, do you think there are red flags?
Yeah, you're most definitely, yes. I do believe, because handling a topic like this, it's always you always have to be wise about it, because we can say that, okay, there are points where someone can have flaws, and you sort of, especially when you move into a place from where you are seeing your mentor online, right? And you're like, oh wow. And then obviously you experience them, and then you see that, okay, this is, as much as they're amazing, they're also just human. And then there are also aspects that can go to like red flag. And I think just diving into that, I think the first one would be, I think if ever you growing is something that makes, or you see that that's something that your mentor doesn't want or desire for you, I think that's a red flag. Because you never want a mentor, the more you grow, it's almost like they don't want to see that growth. You see, they just want you to grow to a certain level. And I believe that a great mentor wants to see you do even greater than they probably are doing. Because I would think, someone who really wants you to be great, they could even be like, you know what, I want you to even surpass what I did, even if it's not what I did, but I want you in your own lane, or in your own, I want you to do so great. So if you ever experience maybe someone who you just see that, when you reach a certain level, it's almost like they're clipping your wings, that's a red flag. That's really a red flag. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're
You
supposed to like help you fly. They
can.
shouldn't like overpower you, always want to overpower you. Like whenever you are trying to show someone the steps, you should consider the fact that maybe along the way they're gonna be better than where I reached or where I can reach. So I would say I wouldn't say a perfect mentor. I was gonna say a perfect mentor, and then I just like, whoa, there's no such thing as a perfect mentor when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was gonna say, a good mentor, like they let you experience growth, even if it means growing to a point where they weren't able to reach. So if you find someone who doesn't acknowledge that there's a potential in you that could take you far, then I would say that is a big red flag. Or if someone who undermines your confidence and makes you create a bubble around yourself that would hold you in one place, and that would not good that would make you so comfortable that you're too blind to whatever power that's inside you. That is not a good mentor. Like somebody who is setting, okay, who's, setting boundaries of where to reach. You hear what I'm saying? Like setting boundaries of where to reach, but not
Yeah, I'm
telling
not.
you to go beyond those boundaries. So I guess, yeah, maybe they are red flags when it comes to
Yeah,
mentor.
no.
But sometimes I just wonder if maybe somebody would just maybe develop a certain mentality along that line, because I guess sometimes you'd not realize, but again, a mentor is making you go this certain direction because they have maybe gone through that same situation, so they're trying to help you avoid that situation. And Ghana, it's like kids, teenagers nowadays, like they would want to experience everything, and then when a parent says, no, don't do this and this and that, you think that they are limiting you from experiencing the fun that they have. But it's a matter of helping you go in the right path. So sometimes I'm wondering that maybe they are not the red flags, maybe we are the red flags. But then it's really a two-way issue at the end of the day. It's like politics, there's not really right and wrong, just the situation.
Yeah. Yo, the part where you said, baby, we are the red flag. Wow. I don't know how many people would admit when they are the red flag. That's so real.
Right.
Yo.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
wow.
So
I actually want us to dive into that. Have you ever, probably in a scenario that was speaking of a mentee-mentor relationship where you were the red flag?
I would say being ignorant of advices. Sometimes you come for guidance but not really want the answers that you would get. It's like saying I need help, but I don't want that kind of medication. I would say that is a red flag. That as a mentee you would have, because a mentor would take you through this path that he knows that, or she knows that it's efficient, or it's gonna be effective, or you're gonna learn or gain more from it. And you as a person, you're like, no, but I feel like your path is not something that I was looking for. It's not something that I want to go through, even though I get your suggestion. I feel like I want to go with this one.
Yeah. I can actually relate to that on cases where I was the red flag, and it was very hard for me to admit at the time, but I was like, because I had cases where I used to be very defensive quite a lot. When you're being given advice and it almost feels like you're not talking about me. Like, who are you talking about?
It's like you're being attacked.
Yeah, you're taking it as an attack, and you're like, oh my, you're not talking about me. So I feel like that prolonged me getting better, because you'd find that maybe one thing would be said, right? Let's say someone tells me, or my mentor gives me advice on Monday, and then they tell me on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I'm still just like, nah, they're not talking about me. And by that time, it's something that's being repeated. And instead of me admitting that, oh, I think I might actually need to look into this and work
Yeah.
on it, then we could have long been done with this cycle. So I feel like the moment I stop being defensive and just accepting that, even I'm also not perfect, I have imperfections. And when they're pointed out, it's not an attack, because a lot of times we take certain things as if it's a personal attack to us when someone is
Yeah.
trying to point out something that you need to work on, and it becomes like, this person is personally like attacking me. But
Yeah.
you should look at it as, oh, but at least, this person is highlighting something that I can work on, and then tomorrow I'm a better person. I'm showing up differently. I'm showing up better, so yeah. So I'm glad we're at a good place now. We can admit our red flags. It shows that we're growing. We're growing.
Yeah. Because
So
of the
yeah.
person, it's really hard to like say I have this problem. Yeah, sometimes it's really hard. So
Mhm.
do I always have to follow every step of my mentor? Like, yeah.
Honestly, I don't think so. I truly believe that we all have individual paths. I do believe that there are things that your mentor can guide you with. Like I always say, this is actually one of my sayings. I always say that you don't need to go through certain pain in your life that you could have probably avoided had you sought for wisdom. So you find that that obviously, like, life will have trials, right? There's obviously life will life, but I also feel like you don't need to go through certain things. Maybe if you seeked or you followed the steps of a mentor to a certain point, you are probably moving maybe 3 steps ahead, or you are jumping over certain potholes that you are avoiding because you're following certain steps. But I believe also in following those steps, you also need to be cognizant of your own individual path and what that looks like for you. Because at the end of the day, if you've also been listening in, I think, to one of our podcasts where we just spoke about how you just need to following your individual path and what your career path looks like, as much as there is other people or your mentor's guidance, but really, really taking time to understand what that looks like for you. As much as you really look up to your mentors, you really like to be like them, but there's still something unique in you that you won't carry as your mentor. And even your mentor being your mentor, they are wired in a certain way to be like that. So even if you try to follow, there are certain things you might really not fully embody, because you're not your mentor. Your mentor is your mentor, and you are you. So yeah, I think that's what I think. I don't know. How about you?
Do I really want to? Do I really have to follow every path? I also agree with you. I don't really need to follow every path that they did. I don't really need to take every step that they did take. But I think maybe if I could take the necessary ones, then I could, reach the same journey, reach the same destination. Because not every journey is gonna be the same, but it's gonna be similar in a way. So That is why I really need to take the important steps. And bearing in mind that there are steps that I could take. But it's a matter of, do they apply in whichever situation I encounter in my journey? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they could give me every step that they took, but will I need to apply each and every step that they gave, they suggested? So I don't think that as a person I should follow each and every step that they took or they had in that journey, because it's different. What he experienced is not gonna be what I experienced, but sure, it's gonna be similar, in line, close to it. His journey or her journey is not gonna be the same as my journey. Similar, yes. So, yeah, I'll say that.
When you're speaking, it's making me just think how important it is then to choose the right mentor. Because, because if it means you're saying to some extent there are necessary steps that you would sort of be guided by, or you would kind of, what's the right word? I don't want to say borrow, but you get me. There are certain steps you'd be like, oh, okay, no, this seems like a really good step. That means you really need to choose someone who's really aligned, because you don't just want to align yourself with just anyone. Choosing the right mentor as well is important. Right. So, actually, on that, there's actually one more question I'd like us to dive into. Do you think you should have multiple mentors? You know how we're just talking about picking the right mentor, but do you think you should have multiple, or for different areas of your life, do you think you can have different mentors?
So, like asking if I should have different teachers for the same season. I don't think so. I don't want to lie. I don't think it's necessary to have multiple mentors. Let's say you want to develop. Let's say you're giving yourself a year to develop five things or in your life, right? Let's say communication, business, what else? Yada. So, would it be necessary to have multiple people at the same time? No, I don't think it is. I don't think as a person you should have multiple mentors, because how do I say it? Okay, I just had a brain fog for a second. I just had a brain fog. Sorry. Okay, the reason why I don't think as a mentee you shouldn't have multiple mentors at the same time is because I feel like as a person you should learn to develop everything one step at a time. Because it's like, I love giving example using mathematical terms. So how do I say it? It's like having different variables in your life, and you want to change a certain variable so that you can be able to perform at your optimum in that area, right? So by doing so, I think you have to have the others constant. In other words, you have to focus on that one variable and develop it, and then from there you can then move on to the next one, and then after you're done, move on to the next one. Because at the end of the day, how can you develop multiple things at the same time it's gonna be like multitasking. It's gonna be hard to actually know if you're growing in that area, if you're actually trying to improve every area at the same time. So I think it's best as a mentee to always only focus on one thing, one area in your life. While if you do want to set a certain goal, I wanna like have this mentor mentoring me in this mentor mentoring me in this, and this mentor mentoring me in this. You should also pick the season for a game. Is this the correct season for me to be learning about this and this and that? Is this the correct season for me to be, developing my entrepreneurship skills? Is this the right season for me to cultivate the skill? We should also discern the season that we are in. That way we would know if we need to develop a certain area in our life. So imagine if you are in a season whereby you have to learn how to be a good entrepreneur, and you are also learning about another skill there, and we are trying to develop coding skills there, and we are trying to learn how to do this another thing there. You're not really gonna give that certain area your full 100% undivided attention. Yes. So I don't think we should have multiple mentors at the same time. Unless you mean multiple mentors in different seasons, then yeah, that one I could agree with. That one I could say, yeah, support that one. Looking at the business, yeah.
Oh, sorry, you said looking at?
No, I was saying looking at. I could say I support that one, having my own business.
Yeah. That's actually really, really good. I think I agree as well, because it's something that I know every day. I'm always trying to navigate, because when you also have a lot of interest, it's very easy to fall into the trap of trying to learn a lot of things at the same time. But I also realized, because I think as someone who has experienced that, I will say I've seen the downfall of doing that, and the benefit of, I guess, focusing on one thing at the same time. So by that I mean I've seen the downfall in terms of when you do, or when you try to learn too many things at the same time, you don't give yourself the space to mature and grow. I think like what you're saying. So, and I think a lot of the times maybe it comes from impatience. So yeah, I think we are definitely, especially as young people these days, we really want to get things done quickly and fast. The best or the fastest way to get it, is please. But especially in our times these days with AI, the fact that you can generate so much information in a short space of time, that's the kind of generation we're living in. So I feel like now it's taking away from how things are naturally, that there are times where you really need to give things time to develop and grow in you, because I learned, you can know something as a concept, but for it to digest, I learned, and I've seen that it takes time. It really, really takes time, So I think with that, I really, really do agree that, you know what, give yourself time to just develop and to grow, and you know, so that when you also serve something to people, you serve a really great dish, you know, because you let it cook, you know, you let it cook, you let it marinate, you let it do its work. And so that's really my takeaway from this, that, you know, just learning to let things cook, basically.
Yeah.
All right. So with that said, we are almost at the end of our episode today. So what are your final words? You know, we said quite a lot, but what are your, you know, the last parting, should I say, parting words with our audience, with our viewers, to say, you know what, I hope you've been taking notes, but if there's one thing that I really, really want you to know, to take away from this, it would be
that everybody has a flaw, you know, but it doesn't mean that that flaw is a red flag. It just means that we as people, we shouldn't I would say that we should. There's what we call bare minimum expectations, like something that you should expect a person or a mentor to have. And there's what we call high expectations. So I feel like maybe we as people, we should tone down a bit on these expectations, because Nakoteli would be too naive and not notice that maybe it's just a flaw, maybe it's just not a red flag. It's not really a red flag. It's not something that should make you part ways with your mentor. And also at the same time, communication has solved a lot of things, but at the same time it's a problem, because it's not really easy to communicate or voice something out when you experience a challenge or a drift. So yeah, that is what I would tell our listeners. Like, we should learn that in every journey that we take, we need help. At the end of the day, we need guidance from a person who's gone through the same journey, and you should be willing to accept every help that they are gonna give you. So yeah. So what I want to hear what you would tell them. We're not Kabarari. Of course, not copying what I said, you know.
wow.
I'm joking.
I was just about to say communication, you know, just like what she said. Okay, let me see. There's a lot. Yeah. But you know, the one on communication is actually, I know it may seem so simple because it's something that I feel like we always talk about, but just having that hard conversation is always important, because I feel like a lot of times we really abort really good things in our lives because we didn't decide to have the hard conversation. But also with that, I'll also say there's two sides of it, I believe. There's parts where you can have the conversation, but if it leads to reuniting, that's great. But if it's best to let go, sometimes that's also okay. And I think that's something that I would also want people to take away, to say that, you know, as it could either go either way, you know, as much as but at the end of the day, as long as if you've had the conversation, as long as if you've talked about it, and as long as if you've, you know, expressed how you felt in whatever situation that you've had, and as long as, it's also a healthy conversation. You don't need to, raise your voices. It doesn't need to be an exchange of words that, are not great, but it's just an honest, open conversation and being able to reach a conclusion that you're both comfortable with your mentor, where, you either reconcile or whatever decision you decide to make. So I think that's the other aspect of it as well. So yeah.
Yeah, true. Well, then that wraps up our episode for today. The myth of a perfect mentor. It was really fun, Shem.
It was. I really enjoyed it. Very reflective. Definitely gonna listen to this and be like, oh yeah, taking notes. So yeah. All right.
Yeah.
This is so great. We'll definitely catch up. Yes, definitely check this episode out, full episode on our YouTube. And yeah, like, share, comment. Would really love to hear what you guys think of this topic. So yeah, that's that from us. Bye guys.
Bye.